Good morning, Gossip Gals. How are we today? I'm with Becky, Holden, McGee from Celebrant Ceremonies by Becky. Becky, I always look at your beautiful photos that you have at ceremonies, and you do this. You must go to the most gorgeous places. It's amazing. So, how are you this morning, Becky?
I am very well. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm really good. I love doing these interviews just because, it's just so good connecting with people and having a really good chat with one of the fellow Gossip Gals. So, ladies, when you come on, just say hi and let us know that you're watching. And if you are watching on replay, give us a hashtag replay. Let us know that you've watched. And if you have any questions, I've put a bit of information about Becky up at the top of the post. But if you've got any questions, just let us know. Because this is quite an interesting career that you have, really. It's not widely spread, is it? So
No. And I've been one of the blessings of lockdown and COVID is it's really pushed celebrancy into the limelight. A lot of people for the last 5 years, I've been flying the celebrant flag, and it's really brought it to light. So a lot more people now have a bit more understanding of what a celebrant is.
Yeah, definitely. And that's it's so funny how like things have like come to light because with smaller weddings you want it more intimate and the celebrant can help that as well. So we'll get into things because there might be some people that don't know what a celebrant is.
Yeah.
But can you explain that first of all?
In the most simplest terms, a celebrant is an officiant. It is somebody that delivers a ceremony. To go to the next level, a celebrant actually writes a bespoke ceremony. So it is a ceremony that represents you, your beliefs, your passions, your family, friends. Each one is completely tailored and unique. And the best thing about a celebrant-led ceremony is it can be held anywhere at any time and include anything you want. So to answer your question previously, yes, I get to go to the most amazing places, from beautiful venues to parks, to abbeys. I did a wedding on a canal boat about 4 weeks ago. So you just never know where somebody has envisaged their special day.
Because it's really important. I always think the background of your wedding is really important because that's the setting the scene kind of thing, isn't it?
It's setting the scene and it's who you are.
Yeah.
So, if you choose to get married, maybe you want a field wedding with a teepee and hay bales, and that's probably because that's who you are. In your everyday life, you love going to festivals and gatherings and you've got that chilled out vibe. Or maybe a canal boat like the one previously, because you have a love of the water or you have a canal boat. So it's so important to have something that represents you and you don't fall into the trap of making everybody else happy.
Yes, that's what a lot of people do, and you're remembering that forever, aren't you?
Especially with weddings, I find my couples, even though they know they want a ceremony by a celebrant and they know they want it to be different, they still want to please mum or dad or aunties or uncles. And I often remind them, it's your day. We can pay respect to them and we can include them, but don't lose sight that it's your day. It's what you want.
That's quite good to have you as the fairy godmother kind of thing to kind of grant the wish and make them not feel guilty about it.
You're totally right. It's guilt. And I always use the memory of my wedding day. I didn't particularly want chicken for the meal. We ended up having chicken because so many people were, I don't like lamb. Oh, I don't want beef. I don't want salmon. And you end up listening to everybody and doing things that you wouldn't necessarily do because you're trying to please everyone.
Yeah. So, how did you get into what you do?
So I started planning our wedding in 2014. We knew we didn't want a church wedding. I knew I definitely wanted to include my family. We had both had our children before we got married, so we'd done it backwards, forwards. And I didn't want to reinvent the wheel, but I definitely wanted our girls to be included in vows. And I'd seen things on good old Instagram where I'd seen beautiful ways children had been included in the ceremony. So at the time, I thought my only other option was a registrar. So I went down that path, and we had chosen our music and we had chosen readings. One, interestingly, was religious, and we wanted to include our girls. And it all came back declined from the registrar. And that's when I discovered it's really strict rules and regulations. You cannot include any religion, any songs with religious words, which I thought, mine don't have religious words. But then when I actually Googled the words, I was like, oh, they do.
Yeah, they have like angel or things like that. Yeah.
So I still thought it's my only option. So we changed what we wanted, but it wasn't what we wanted. And
it didn't fit right with you. Yeah.
No. So our day was beautiful, but I was still left really disappointed. So for anyone that's ever arranged and been involved in a wedding, the weeks after it, you feel a little bit like, oh, what do I do now?
I know exactly what you mean. I was like that after mine, yeah.
So I started delving into finding out, I've been to weddings where they've included things. How was that possible?
Yeah.
I've been to weddings in a field. How was that? And that's when I discovered the hidden treasure of celebrants. Yeah. And the more I read, celebrants are all over the world. Huge in Australia, huge in places like America. And I then discovered there were celebrants here in Lancashire, that they're all over the UK. And the more I read, the more I thought that is exactly what I want to do. I want to be able to give people the ceremony they want.
Yeah. It's a massive gift, isn't it, if you can do that?
It's the most rewarding job. So then I decided if I was going to do it, I wanted to be the most highly trained I could be. So I set off doing a diploma. At that time, I fell pregnant with Isabel, our youngest.
Yeah.
So I did my diploma whilst pregnant. Then when I had her, I went and sat my exams. And then once I was fully qualified, it was time, and I launched Celebrant Ceremonies by Becky.
Wow, amazing. So what do you find that you do on a day-to-day basis? It's really different.
Yeah, my day can be so varied. Obviously, meeting couples and families, learning all about them, their background, what they want, what they've envisaged. Going to the venues or going to the place where the ceremony is going to be held.
Yeah, do you go with the couples for that, or do you sometimes go and check it out on your own?
Usually, I always check it out with the couples. If it's outside, we will always kind of have a plan A, B, and C. So if it's really sunny, if it's really windy, if it rains. And then I will usually have a point of contact who I will be texting, and I always arrive an hour before, and I'll say, we are good for plan A. Or it's really windy, we're going to go for plan B.
Yeah, that's great.
And then the rest of my days, yes, I spend a lot of time script writing, which is, putting everything together, weaving it together and creating the ceremony script.
So do you help... So they might create their own vows, but you do the scripts based on their kind of personalities. Is that right?
Kind of. We have an initial meeting, and at that point, I will get lots of lovely details from them, and that's their story. Now, whether that's the couple story or if it's a baby or child story for a naming ceremony or a renewal. So I'll gather that, see who they want to include. Are there special family and friends? Do they want to include symbolic actions like hand fasting, a unity candle? And there's so many things that they can include. From that initial meeting, I will send them an email, and depending what they've asked for, give them lots of information. So poems, readings, symbolic actions. If they want to write their own vows, I will guide them. Often, they will ask me to send them quite a few example vows. And from that, they might take a little bit of that one and a little bit of this one. And together, then they've written their own vow.
Brilliant. I bet your storytelling abilities have to come into flow when you're writing your scripts.
It's my favorite thing. It's my favorite thing. Everyone has a story.
Yeah.
And everybody's story is different. Now, the thing that I do always say to my couples and families is only include what you want to include in your story. So I always share that I met my husband online, but at the time, that was 2013, it was almost a little bit seedy to meet your partner online. So I didn't tell anyone that. And even a lot of people at our wedding didn't know we met online. So I always say, share with me what you feel comfortable sharing with everybody else.
Yeah, that's good. That's it. Yeah, definitely. So you mentioned a few different things. What variety of services do you provide?
So we have naming ceremonies, which is a beautiful alternative to a christening.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely gorgeous. Wedding ceremonies, everybody's very familiar with those. Commitment ceremonies, which are a beautiful ceremony for a couple that want to affirm their love to each other, but for a variety of reasons do not want to get legally married.
Yeah.
We then have renewals, which we're all familiar with those. That may be 5 years, 10 years. I actually, in October, have a vow renewal for a couple who are celebrating 60 years.
Wow, yeah. I know some people who get married and then they kind of plan to renew their vows every 10 years or something like that.
Yeah, and then the last one I do is funerals and celebrations of life.
Yeah. Oh, lovely. So that's a really wide range, isn't it? From birth to death, really.
Literally.
Yeah, gorgeous. Oh, lovely that you can kind of pick and put your personality into everything and you facilitate that. It's so good. Let me just... Okay. Somebody was just calling me. I think it was you just calling me. I don't know what's happening on your phone. That's really weird. Okay, so what do you... It oozes out of you, but I'm going to ask anyway. So what do you enjoy about what you do?
I would say my number one favorite thing is the people I meet. I literally meet people from every walk of life, from every background, and listening to their story, whether it is their story of how they became parents.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's been a huge struggle and fight for them to become parents. Sometimes it's been a beautiful accident. I love, obviously, proposal stories, from the super movie romantic ones to the hilarious ones that make me howl. And I love vow renewals, especially when the couple are older, because they often have so many amazing tales and they keep it real. They will never sit in front of you and say, we've had 40, 50 blissful years. They will make me howl and say, there are times when I could not stand him. And I love that because it's keeping it real. I don't think any of us are 100% always in love.
No, definitely. And I think, because you're you got a lot of charisma, just being you, Becky. And do you find, obviously you're telling the story and you're talking through the script and thing. What is it like for the guests at the wedding?
I like
or the
to
ceremony.
feel that with any celebrant-led ceremony, the guests are part of it. It's so important that they're engaged. We have all been to services where you're kind of willing it to finish.
Yeah, I have. I've been to quite a few church ones, and it's like, oh my God, how boring can you get? It's really, sorry, but
we've all been there.
Oh,
So I like to include the element of surprise. I will often say to my couples, don't share everything, because the element of surprise keeps the guests engaged. They're there, they're present. One of the huge things I always ask is for all of the guests to please switch their phone off and put it away, because these are horrendous. They take people's attention away. And
yeah, even if they're taking pictures or videos, they're watching the ceremony through the phone. So it's totally kind of not there.
So what a lot of couples will say, especially if they've got a photographer, is you'll only take photos during the signing of the ceremony certificate. At all of the times, please put your phone away. Because you're so right, Emma, people are watching the ceremony through their phone.
Yeah, so they might as well just been at home and just be on a live screen, you know. Yeah. So if somebody was looking for products or services like yours, obviously services, what would you say for them to look for in a business?
I would say take a really good look at Celebrant's websites, Instagram, their websites, Facebook, all of the social medias, and get a feel for who they are. Because I say at the initial inquiry with any couple or family, you have to have a connection, I believe, with your celebrants. We're going to be working together so closely. I want you to feel comfortable and be able to say, no, I don't like that. Or I'm not quite keen on that bit. Because together we're going to create something really special. And I'm going to share your day with you. So it's so important that we get on and we have that connection.
Yeah, and like all that run-up time of things as well. And because for a couple, there's more control in having a celebrant than having, for example, a religious ceremony with a vicar or a registrar, because with my registrar, I only think I met them on the day.
You're totally right, and that's the biggest feedback I get. On the day you meet your registrar, that's the first time you meet them, literally 5 minutes before you get married. As I have often been on a journey with this couple for 2 years, 1 year, sometimes about 6 months, but still we've built a relationship. So when I'm stood there waiting, either maybe they're both going to walk down the aisle, or I'm just with one of the couple and we're waiting for the other person to walk down, I often will just give a wink and I'm like, we've got this.
Yeah, it's kind of like the second maid of honor, you know what I mean? Because you go on that journey with them. I think it's so cool. And like you say, when like looking at your social media and things, because obviously I see some of your pictures and you've got that connection, you can really tell there's that bond and you're so happy for them. It's not just, right, I've got this one to do and then I've got another one to do at 1 o'clock.
No.
You know,
and that's something that I didn't mention as well. As celebrants, we only ever take one booking per day. So we are your celebrant for the day. So if anything runs late for any reason, which it often does, from children to dresses not fitting to cars breaking down, it's not a problem.
That's great.
We can wait.
Yeah, definitely, because you don't want that worry that they need to be somewhere else at 1 o'clock, and I'm sure they wouldn't leave your ceremony, but you just don't want that worry as a bride, or for like if all your family are there for a naming ceremony, you just don't want that to happen, especially with babies. You never know what's going to happen.
You never know what's going to happen, definitely. And I always arrive to any ceremony an hour before. So I know that we've spoken about how everything should look, the room, the seating, the flowers, how everything should be. And I'm just quietly making sure that everything looks exactly how they've envisaged it. So when it comes to that moment, they're perfectly happy.
Yeah. It's like you've got their back, you know.
Yeah.
That's it. So how can people contact you?
There's a lot of way people can contact me. They can do it the old-fashioned way. They can pick up the telephone and we can have a chat, which I always love. Or you can do any social media platforms or an email, and I will always reply to you as soon as I can. And yeah, any questions, just fire my way.
So do you do this full time now, Becky?
I do. I do it full time. I think you'll know that for 13 years, I worked for Blackpool Council with people that were street homeless and looking for long-term accommodation. And I actually handed my notice in July because it was time. I was doing both jobs and my Celebrant business was getting bigger and bigger, and it's my passion. I love it.
Oh, that's amazing. And whereabouts do you cover in the country?
Predominantly, I always advertise that I am Lancashire based. However, next year is insane. I am traveling all over the show, from Carlisle to Newcastle to down south. So I literally will travel anywhere, but I am based here on the Fylde Coast.
Brilliant. Okay. So if somebody kind of messaged you on Facebook or something, what would be the next step to go forward, like after the contact?
Yeah, they would usually send me a message saying what ceremony they're interested in and am I available on that date. I will always email them back and let them know, yes, I am, or unfortunately, I've got a booking on that date. If I am available, usually it's a phone call. Where we can just bounce ideas back and forth. They can tell me what they're looking for and just see if we've got that connection.
Yeah, I think it's really important for people to know that this is an option.
Yes.
Like you say, like we didn't know it wasn't an option. So, and it's important days of your life: birth, marriage, death, you know, and any connection. It's really important. So yeah, if anybody wants to share this video, just share it, let everybody know, spread the love, as it were, you know, with all the ceremonies. So it's been absolutely fantastic having you on.
Thank you.
I think you're like, because obviously you the photographer will take the photos, won't they? So
yes,
all your photos are just gorgeous at the ceremonies. It really works well together, doesn't it? So
I love that, and that's one of the things that I think I probably didn't think about at the beginning of my journey, of my business journey, was all the amazing friends that I was going to make in the business. Like you said, from your photographers to your event decorators to your MCs, your DJs, everybody. And it's so nice to have met so many amazing people in the industry.
And do you know what? I think it's like the kind of person you are as well. Like you don't just turn up and do a job. You have that community spirit with things, so you like draw people in and you get connections here and there. So yeah, it's all credit to yourself as well for that.
Thank you.
Right, so welcome, Becky. It's been fabulous. I shall chat to you later, and if anybody has any questions at all, please ask Becky, put it in the comments, message her. I'm sure she'd be happy to help. Okay, thanks everybody. Bye.
Bye.